In this video, I'm going to show you how you can start an online coaching business from scratch and essentially get paid to share your knowledge, get paid to be yourself. And before we dive in, I want to tell you that this is the best business model that you can start right now, especially if you're at the very, very beginning, if you don't have a lot of capital. You don't need a crazy technology to start. You literally only need your phone and some expertise in some area. And no matter where you are around the world, no matter what you've been doing so far, trust me, you can do this. And I'm gonna break down everything in this video. And before we dive in, I just wanna quickly tell you a little bit about myself. If you're new to the channel, I'm Andre, and this is literally what I'm doing right now. I'm running a consulting business, helping coaches scale. So I guess you could say I'm in the business niche. And my background, if you're new to the channel, I'm trying to keep this short because my background is pretty chaotic and exotic, how I like to sometimes say it. I used to be an artist, music artist. So I used to put out projects, put out albums, and that was like most of my life. I was always like super creative. I quit music in 2022, and then I took the creativity and I was like, I gotta take this and create something with it. And I started 3 companies all at once, which was definitely chaotic. So I started a creative agency, which kind of flopped, an education SaaS business with guitar courses that did pretty well. And then I went into e-com. I started 2 stores. The first one was awful. I didn't know what I was doing, but you learn. And the second one really worked. I scaled that to 6 figures. And then I stopped all running the companies. And I got to that point where I was like, this is too much for me. Like, I'm just in this process of like chasing money. I don't feel fulfilled. And long story short, at the end of 2023, I started my personal brands with the one mission in mind: to do consulting and to essentially teach others and like help others create their online education business so that they can help others as well in the process. And in the span of 6 months, I went from literally 0 followers, because I started from scratch, to over 100,000. Now we're sitting close to 200,000 on Instagram alone, which is my main channel. And last year has been crazy. And last year I started with, I just want to put this out there, like in the beginning I started with like selling a small program, like a small course with some calls with me, because I was just testing things out. But then I completely moved into high ticket coaching and mentorship, which I'm currently doing right now. Because this, for me, and I'm gonna walk you through it, is the best model that you can do. High ticket is selling basically, a $3,000, $5,000, even $10,000, depending on your niche, offer is so much easier than trying to sell a $90 course. And as I'm gonna tell you in the video, people want more than just a course right now. And so last year I scaled the consulting business to 5 figures, and it's been amazing. I'm working with people from all around the world in all sorts of niches, from mindset, digital marketing to real estate. So just to dive into the video, I want to start off by saying that it doesn't matter what your expertise is in. All that matters is if you want to actually make an impact, if you want to help others, if you want to create content and put value out there, you can start this right now. So let's dive into it. I apologize for like the chaotic handwriting, but I'm gonna walk you guys through this. So first of all, again, just to touch on this, like who can actually do this? I mentioned this already. So whether you're in real estate, in business, digital marketing, it doesn't matter like what niche you're in, you can start this right now. So I've seen people in super like weird niches that still make a lot of money with this. And you don't need there's no like special niche, there's no like best niche, and I'm gonna cover that in a sec. So I just want to tell you, like, it doesn't matter what you've been doing so far, you can do this. Now, what do you actually need to start in this? As I mentioned, you do need to have some skill in at least one area. So for me, my background has been in branding, has been in design, building brands. So even like at the same time with like doing music, what I was doing freelancing. So I started working with companies, and that was at the same time, that I was basically doing that to fuel my music career, because I needed money. So my background has always been in building brands, helping companies. At one point, I worked with a SaaS company as well, and I worked in sales, having calls, going to events. So as I mentioned, like my background is pretty dynamic, pretty exotic, to say the least. And what I realized for me is that area, like the thing that basically connected everything was this idea of like helping people build brands, helping people, like guiding them in a way, more than just design, more than obviously just music or just a small creative thing. And I'm gonna get to that in a sec, how you can basically like find the niche. Now, what you need on top of all of this is just the phone and a laptop. You don't need and an internet connection, obviously. You don't need like crazy equipment. You don't need an expensive camera. Right now I am filming with a camera, but especially at first, you don't need that. You can literally get to 100,000 per month with like an iPhone. That is, that is the great news about this. Now, I want to touch on this. Like, first of all, why? Why even start an online coaching business or an online education business? As I mentioned before, this is the best model, right? The best model by far, especially if you're just starting out. Why? Essentially because you can get paid to be yourself. So think about it right now. Let's say you're a fitness coach, you're a personal trainer, and you want to coach others online. You can get to that place where you can charge $2,000, $3,000 for a program and not only provide a transformation for people, but also literally get paid to talk about the stuff that you love, the stuff that you're passionate about, get paid to share with people how you solved some problems in your own life. And this is currently what I'm doing. And it doesn't I was telling my clients as well, it's like, sometimes I gotta pinch myself because it seems so, surreal still to me that all of we're living in such an amazing era right now in which you're essentially able to open up the phone, create content, talk about the things that you enjoy, get on calls with people, talk to people, and get them into your program for a couple of thousands. And I want you to I want to drive this point home, the why behind it. You don't need to compromise yourself. You don't need to change who you are. You don't need to go spend 6 years in a college. You can literally use your expertise that you've been gathering so far and help others. Now, in terms of what you need, and then I'm gonna dive into the nitty-gritty. You gotta have a desire to help. So I know, I'm not gonna sit here with a guru promise and promise you the world, you can get to 100,000 a month in 2 days, because it does take time to build an online coaching business. But what you need not only in the beginning, but throughout all of this, you need a true desire to make an impact, to help others. So I've seen some people that start this with the sole purpose of making some quick cash. And that is how you end up scamming people. That is how you end up not providing the best value, not bringing the best into the world. And you don't want to do that. So if you truly want to make an impact, that is how it all starts. Before the strategies, before the systems, you got to have that mindset. I really want to help. So for me, in my own context, when I was in the middle of running the businesses, making so many mistakes, and then with a personal brand, growing that, I realized I learned so much in a couple of months. It is it's nuts, right? And now I want to help others do it, because I've seen how I struggled, I've seen how others struggled, and I really want to make a difference. And I'm great with people. I've been told by one of my best mentors, he's a CEO, at one point he was you're amazing with people. And at the time I didn't really understand that. And because I guess my mind was still stuck in that, service industry or design, branding side of things, not the human side. But then I realized throughout my entire journey, at the intersection of everything that I was doing, it was this idea of like actually helping people and essentially consulting them. And so it did take me way too long to get to that point. So fast forward to what I'm doing now, this is literally the why behind all of this. I've been through the pain of years and years and years trying out so many different things. I used to, get called like the shiny object syndrome king, because I was all my life really, I was trying things. Ever since second grade, I was making magazines, trying to make some money, trying to draw tattoos with like the pen, hustle kids for like a couple of bucks. Most of my life, all of my life, I was trying things. And it took me like way too long to discover the thing that was like at the core, like basically my purpose. And so what I'm doing now is essentially helping people reduce that time, reduce that pain, save years and years of pain, struggle, investing like a lot of money, wasting a lot of money in the process of trying to find out what they essentially need to do. And I'm giving them basically the formula, as I'm about to do in this video, of starting something like this. So let's move on. You might sit here and you might wonder, okay, that sounds great, but how do I find my niche? And I have this concept that I constantly use with my clients, which is called the Ikigai, and we have it here. This is basically a Japanese concept. Excuse my drawing, I know it's not the best, but this is the Ikigai in Japanese. It means something like your reason for being. So as I was saying before, you got to find out really like everything that you've been doing so far. What is at the intersection of all of this? What is the core? And that is basically your purpose. And it all starts with that. And so you can look it up right now. My drawing is like pretty ugly, but essentially you draw like all of these like 4 circles. And the first one is like, you got to write, what are you good at? Then what do you love doing? Then you got to write, what does the world need right now? And last but not least, how can you get paid? Like, what can you be paid for? And in the middle of all of this, that is your purpose. And in terms of finding your niche, so a lot of people go through this idea of like, I have to change who I am. I have to change what I've done. Like, I'm not enough. And this, it all comes from like overthinking and the fear of like not being enough. And so I've seen people overthink this so much that they essentially like block themselves from creating content, from starting something like this, from doing online tutoring. And instead of them being successful, creating content, helping others, and obviously making a lot of money in this process, they just sit there they're stuck in this analysis paralysis, thinking they're not good enough. But so super practical. What I want to show you here is that you can start off super simple. So you got to ask, what problem have I solved so far in my life? Let's say you're, I don't know, an accountant. You might have solved like some system with numbers that helps you streamline the entire process with your clients, whatever. Let's say you solved that. You can start there. And also you got to ask, who can you help the most? And I have this great quote that goes like this, like, you're most powerfully positioned to help the person you once were. So in your journey, what I'm doing literally right now, I'm helping the version of myself from 2, 3, 4 years ago. And 2 years ago, for example, I was stuck in that chaos with the companies. I wanted to start my personal brand. I wanted to do consulting online, but I just didn't know how. So I'm helping that person. I'm helping that entrepreneur, that business owner, I'm helping that person that is stuck in that chaos and they don't know the way out. And so a lot of you watching, you might be thinking that, the niche I'm in right now, it doesn't really work, or it's too weird, and you're trying to change all of that, but that is wrong. You got to start really like asking, what problems have I solved so far? And that is what you can bring to the table. So I gave that example with the accountant. There's tons of examples, but essentially all of this is, what have you been doing so far? What solutions, what problems have you encountered? What solutions did you encounter? And now can you turn that into lessons and into content so that you can help others and actually coach others in the process as well? And obviously, as I mentioned, with no matter the niche, you can. It's just about removing this sort of like mental block that most people have in the beginning, unfortunately. Because you see all of these gurus, you see different advice, conflicting advice, and you get into, again, this analysis paralysis and you end up doing nothing. But start with the Ikigai, look at your own journey so far, identify the top lessons, and ask yourself, what problems have I really solved in my journey? What is, at the core of everything that I've done? And that's how you start. You start there. Now, what is the process for this entire business model? Essentially, super simple. You have to post content to gather attention. Then you build trust. You provide a lot of value. You build trust. And last but not least, you solve a big problem in your niche. And I have this model that I'm constantly using myself and with my clients, which is this idea of like giving it all away, because that is how you attract the best clients and your ideal clients. So what does that mean? Let's use another example. Let's say we're in real estate. Let's say you're in real estate right now. I have an amazing client of mine in the mentorship that is in the real estate niche. So let's say you're in that niche, right? Everything that you've learned so far, from loans, from screening tenants, from investing in properties, creating positive cash flow, all of this, you give it all away on YouTube. You give it all away on Instagram, but especially YouTube. Because I mentioned trust here. YouTube is amazing because, similar to this video, you get to sit in front of the camera, talk about the stuff that you know, stuff that you love, and educate and coach others literally through a video. And that is the fastest way for people to build trust, because they essentially get to know who you are. And as you guys can see, I'm not using any flashy edit. This is just me right now. And if you do this, like, the more you give away, the more you will attract clients. And also, like, what I've seen with this entire model is that too many of us, and I say us because I was in that trap myself, we're thinking as content creators, we're thinking as coaches, whatever, like, what if I give too much? What if I give too much for free and then I'm gonna have nothing to basically provide in my program with my mentorship? But that is a limiting belief, and that is completely false. It's just crap. Because there is no such thing as giving too much. In a very weird way, it is the actual opposite. You always give too little. And I'm just gonna be honest, and I think Hormozi said this, when you get to that place where your brain is like, oh my God, we might give too much, this might be way too much, let's kind of like step down, that's when you gotta push the gas. That's when you gotta be like, okay, I'm making 5 more videos like this. I'm giving more. And with this, I just wanna say, with this entire process, when you're starting to create content, how you gotta approach all of this is you gotta look at it like, try to be obsessed with other people's problems, not your own. Try to be obsessed with their problems. What can I actually give? What can I solve? I gave the example with real estate. How can I help others so much through my content? How can I create that content that I would have hoped for in my own journey 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago? And that's how you approach it. You don't approach it from a standpoint of, what can I take from people? How much money can I make right now? You don't approach it from that perspective. You think to yourself, what are the problems that people are struggling with right now? Before I prepared this video, I was thinking of what questions you might have right now. What goes to your mind? Maybe like, my niche is not good enough. How can I sign clients? And I'm gonna get to that in a sec. How can I create content? Which I'm literally explaining right now. How do I approach all of this? I think my my expertise so far is not enough. All of these things. How do I start a coaching business? So I was thinking about that, obsessing over it. Then I wrote this, I sat down to film, and I'm filming it now. So when you're creating content, that should be your focus. What are people going through, and what, like, can I make a difference with my content? Can I provide something? Can I provide like so much value that then helps, not only helps people, but also makes a difference in the market, in the niche? So too many people are after a quick buck. Too many people, like, this is not a get rich quick scheme. I don't want to sit, I don't want you to sit here and think to yourself that, I'm gonna make like 50,000 in a month, like instantly, like in a couple of days, like overnight. It doesn't work like that. And if you're looking for something like that, this is definitely not the model and not the video for you. But yeah, it goes like beyond the, just sharing like some tips and tricks. It's all about actually giving it all away with the pure intention of helping others. Now, obviously, this is a business. So you in the back, and I'm gonna walk you through this right now, you will charge money for your services, for your program, for your mentorship. But you don't need to shy away from providing value. And we got the best examples right now. You can look at like Hormozi. Hormozi still makes videos for like 3 hours long. Why does he do that? You got to think, like, why? He doesn't need to do that, right? But it's all about providing value and then attracting the ideal clients. Now, how do you actually make money? Super simple. You post videos. You can post on, I would definitely recommend posting on YouTube and posting on Instagram. So I have 2 main channels, tons of value. With Instagram, you create brand awareness. You post short form, obviously. And with YouTube, you further educate and you build more trust. Then you could send people to a VSL. This is basically, in simple terms, video sales letter. This is basically a video in which you explain your mechanism, how you can help, what type of like difference you can make. You share your story, some testimonials if you already have them. And then after you explain, you give people a link to book a call with you. This can be done on Calendly, with Zoom, Google Meets, and that is where you sell. So it can be that simple. Right now, whatever the niche is that you're in, let's say digital marketing, start creating content about the stuff that you've learned, that you've done. If you truly believe in it, start creating content on YouTube. And then literally what you can do with this, you can put a link to a super simple page. It doesn't need to be like a complex page. You can even do this with like a Google Doc, in which you have a video that explains what you're doing with your program. What is your intention? What is your purpose with the coaching? What is the outcome that people are gonna get? And obviously, to design your program and everything, I will need to make a separate video when I will. But long story short, you send them from the content to that page so that you can explain all of it. And then you get people on calls with you. And I'm gonna walk you guys through all of these different parts in separate videos. But that is how the process goes. So taking them from Instagram to YouTube to a website, super simple page with a VSL, you explain what you're doing, and then you get people on calls. Now, you might be wondering, what do I actually sell with this? And I want to start off by saying this: you do not sell a simple course. So we're not doing like the course guru thing, because people, you gotta ask yourself, like, what do people actually want? Do they want a course? Do they want a document they can read from time to time? What do they want? Because I see so many accounts right now with faceless digital marketing, selling PDFs, selling things, like promising you the world. But people, like, if you really want to help, if you truly have the desire to make an impact, people want access to you. So they want the close proximity to you. So what does that mean? You can do 3 main things. 1, you can do group coaching, which is basically you get people in a group, you do group calls on Zoom, you do a group on WhatsApp, you educate people there. So this is the first thing, group coaching. The second thing is you can do one-to-one mentorship, which in my opinion is the most efficient way to make an impact. So one-to-one mentorship. How does this look? For example, for my case, I have a one-to-one mentorship option in which I do one call every single week with my clients, and I'm there with them as sort of like this partnership. So it's way more than me just giving like some guidance and then disappearing. I'm there with them 24/7 and with an actual call, one-to-one session every single week on top of like the group masterclasses that we're doing and the group sessions. The one-to-one mentorship is literally you're so involved with the people in your program that you are helping them with the entire process, with the entire system. Obviously, it really depends on what your niche is, but it's the fastest way for you to actually make an impact and get them results. So if you're a fitness coach, it's the fastest way to be there with them. Make sure you have the accountability in like that relationship, and you help them. You help them 24/7. You help them weekly with calls, one-to-one, and that is how you truly make an impact. So you have group coaching, one-to-one mentorship, and last but not least, you do have an option as well to create masterminds and sell tickets to masterminds, in-person events where people come and basically you do presentations, you do like an actual live event, like a workshop. People get, they get together, and the face-to-face impact that this can have is just beyond anything that you can find online, any coaching program on Zoom. Because, for example, like last year in December, we were in Dubai with my team, with Unlock Creators, and we had a small meetup. And I remember like it was so amazing because the impact that you get to have as a mentor, as a coach, as a leader in a face-to-face like interaction in real life, nothing compares to that. So I've done by now so many, I don't have a number, hundreds probably of Zoom calls with my clients in the mentorship, and there's no such thing as the actual like face-to-face like real life interaction. So again, 3 things that you can sell: group coaching, one-to-one mentorship, and in-person masterminds. Now, with all of these, obviously, as I do as well, you can have a program, which is, I guess you could say it's a course technically, but the big idea is you don't sell some videos and you just disappear, you leave people in the dark. No, you provide constant support. So it's this idea of like almost like a holistic approach. So you're there with people, you mentor them, you guide them on top of like a program that you pre-recorded. And I want to say this, when it comes to starting an online coaching business, don't try to spend 6 months, because I've seen a lot of people do this, too many people. Don't try to spend 6 months on quote unquote the perfect coaching program, the perfect course or whatever, and then try to sell it. Because that is backwards thinking. First of all, you cannot possibly know what is the best thing that you need to create. The only way to achieve almost like 99% like a perfect program is to put like an MVP out there, a minimum viable product, get people in, get their feedback constantly. So for example, when we launched the community and with like the group coaching, the program, we had some people that were like, okay, like I might want to have this there. Like, how do I do this? How do I edit videos like this? How do I build like the funnel in the back, like the VSL, whatever questions they had. I then went back to the program, and still to this day, I'm constantly iterating. So in my opinion, like the program right now, it is gonna go through like so many different changes because I want to improve it as I go. And essentially what you get to do with this, and this is like such an amazing thing, you get to literally help people and at the same time, not only improve your skills, but improve the entire quality of your program. So it's a win-win. Don't sit there overthinking, thinking that you're going to build the perfect thing, because there is no such thing. You got to launch something, get people in, iterate, help, and essentially see what people prefer, what is their feedback, and then improve based on it. Now, I also want to go over 3 key parts to actually make a successful online coaching business, an education business. And we're going to start with this first thing that a lot of people seem to just forget about, but it's the most, in my opinion, the most important thing beyond the strategies, before doing sales, before anything. And it's this idea that your story and energy matter. So your story, first of all, let's start there with your story. What a lot of people do is they hide behind the mask of educational content. They only provide tips and tricks without sharing their own story in the process. Go back 20 minutes ago or whatever in the video. What have I been doing so far? I've constantly told you about like, this is what I've done, this is what I've gone through, and I'm not just giving out like these tips that, I've read online. This is stuff that I've actually learned myself. And throughout my process, throughout like my journey, my story hasn't been perfect. Like I'm not the perfect individual. I'm not the number one guru like online. I don't even like that word. I don't like to consider myself a guru. I'm just a guy that was always creative, was always hardworking, and always had the desire to create something, put something in the world that makes an impact. And so I'm constantly throughout my content journey, I'm sharing more and more parts of my story, because I understand that people in this entire space, nobody buys the actual coaching, people buy coaches. So the people that I have inside of my program, for example, my clients, they constantly tell me like, dude, like I saw your content, amazing strategy, amazing systems, like you're so professional. I got into the free community on school. By the way, you guys got the free link down below. But they're telling me like the reason why I joined wasn't really that. Like, sure, that's amazing, and I think you can definitely help, but I joined because of like how you are, because of like how real you are, because you said something at one point that I really related to. So you need to understand, don't get too caught up in strategies. Don't get too caught up in this whole thing of like, what is the like perfect content? What is the perfect program? Try to obsess over how do I show more and more parts of me. Now, the next thing is, as I have here, your energy. So if you don't have a good energy, you're not going to attract great clients. You're going to attract people that are really like a headache to work with. And if you don't have a good energy, you might not even be able to sell at all. So first of all, before starting, you have to really think, you have to really think, do I actually believe that this is possible? Do I have faith? This is what I'm telling my clients as well. It doesn't matter how much I'm there with you, 24/7, coaching you, giving you everything. It does not matter if you do not believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, I can believe in yourself. I can believe in you like, 24/7. It won't matter. It won't matter. And a lot of people, they approach content, they approach this with like a super low energy. And it shows not only in the content, but also in the result. And if you, as the coach, as you're supposed to be the leader, you're supposed to be the mentor. If you have a low energy, how do you expect clients to join your program? How do you expect clients to make a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 investment with you? They're not. So you have to work on the energy. And again, story and energy, they matter a lot. That is the reason why, I'm gonna be honest, you might be stuck right now with the content. You're not getting views, you're not getting the engagement you would want, versus someone that, quote unquote, like doesn't provide as much value as you. And you're sitting there comparing yourself to others, which is obviously a mistake. And you're sitting there thinking like, why does this person, why are they more successful than I am? And I'm sitting there like providing more value. I'm working my ass off like it's crazy. Like, why are they doing so well? The reason is energy. So there's some people that just they make it so easy for people to gravitate towards them because of their great energy. And it all starts with that. Like, I need you to understand, before like these strategies and systems, everything that I gave you works. It makes millions. But unless you first become that version of yourself that is able to do this, doesn't matter like what mentorship you get, it doesn't matter what coaching, what course, what strategy, what video, it won't work. Unless you become that version of yourself that can create the content that is required to really win and get results and sign people and make money with this. So you got to take a look at that. Am I actually the version of myself that can do this? If not, what really is going to end up happening, and believe me, I've been through this, you're going to burn yourself out and everything is going to feel forced. It's not going to feel natural. It's not going to feel like second nature. So as I'm sitting here right now, because I'm not doing like this fancy video with like crazy editing, like effects and stuff. I'm literally myself talking about the stuff that I know. And after this, I'm going to film another video and another video, probably. It's going to be one of those days. I'm really like proud of myself that I might not be perfect. Am I like a trillionaire with this? No, I never claimed to be. But not only did I get last year, for example, in a couple of months, crazy results from scratch, from 0 to almost 200,000 people, from 0 to 5 figures with the consulting business, to almost 70 million views in a couple of months, in less than 8 months, I think. Not only that, not only am I helping clients right now from all around the world in all kinds of niches, I'm actually myself. And I'm talking about the stuff I've been through, the stuff that I love, to share it with you, so hopefully you can get value from it, so that you can apply this in your own journey and see success, so that you can build an online education business and just have calls, I don't know, be on a beach in like Bali or Dubai and have calls with people and help. So it's really about your story and your energy. Now let's move on. The next key part, your unique mechanism. You need a unique mechanism. You need a unique angle. What does the unique mechanism mean? What is that? That is basically your signature method as a coach. So I say this to all my clients. It doesn't matter like what niche you're in. Let's say, again, let's pick fitness. So think with fitness, you have like this huge bubble in here with all of the fitness coaches that just teach you to lose weight, whatever. And you also like want to help people lose weight. But excuse me, you got this bubble. And also in here, you want to make your own bubble. And the way you make your own bubble is by bringing this unique mechanism. You come up with like a unique method, a unique name for it. It can be Fit Ultimate, I don't know, something like that, right? You make a cool name for it, and then you break it down into some core phases. I talked about this in previous videos. I'm probably going to make another video about it because it's such an amazing topic. You break it down into 3 core phases, and I'm going to give my example here to make it relatable to you and easy to understand. So my unique mechanism, my signature method, is called the Unlocked Creator Model, or Unlocked Creator OS. And it's basically the entire system that I've used myself in the business and that I'm using with my clients. And it has 3 phases. Phase 1, so again, I'm helping people build and scale online coaching businesses. Phase 1 is called the Offer Genesis, in which I help people figure out who they are, what is their ideal client, building out that profile, and building out the actual offer. So what do they need to do? What do they need to offer? How they can price that, all of that. Because that's the foundation. The second phase is called the Leads Engine. So I'm helping people with YouTube, with Instagram, with a free school community. I'm helping them bring in 24/7 like qualified leads, because obviously you need leads with all of this. And that is the content side of things. And the third part is the client ascension, meaning that is the sales part, bringing people from viewers, followers to high ticket paying clients. And that is my system. So you need a unique mechanism. You need your unique angle for you to be able to separate yourself from this huge bubble of like so many different coaches into this, I call it like the hero coach in that particular market. And as long as you have a unique mechanism, as long as you truly want to help others, you will be different to the market. If you just want to do what everyone else is doing, without a unique angle, without your unique twist on things, you're not going to see success. And I'm also diving deeper into this because I think it's super valuable. So with this, just to kind of like complete this second part with the unique mechanism, on top of the unique mechanism, to pair that up, you gotta like have an enemy to your brand with like your coaching business. Again, my own example. My enemy, quote unquote, is this chaotic business owner, which is basically like a version of myself from a couple of years ago. I told you about like the businesses. That is my enemy. And the hero, the solution that I'm creating for this is the Unlocked Creator. This is literally the name of my community, of my program, Unlocked Creators. So it's this idea of like unlocking your mind, unlocking new possibilities, having freedom, building a business that fuels your dream life, all of this. So it's this idea of like, who is your enemy? Who's your enemy? What is your unique mechanism? The third key part, I cannot stress this enough, guys. It's you gotta have patience and you have to have consistency. You have to constantly be there and iterate and post, because this is, again, not a get rich quick scheme. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon, and it does take patience. It does take time. Most people will never succeed with this, not because they do not have the skills, not because they are underqualified, because most of the time you are overqualified for some things. They will fail because they will not succeed because they just block themselves from success. They just give themselves deadlines that they really don't control. And then they become disappointed. Like if you do this for like, if you're from scratch, for example, if you do this for like 1 month, you're probably not going to see crazy results. And if you obsess over the outcome, if you obsess over numbers that you have zero control over, you're only going to end up being disappointed. And what I would say with this, just to kind of like wrap this up, try to obsess again. If you want to obsess over anything, try to obsess over this. Obsess over what do I put in, over the inputs. Obsess over showing up, obsess over posting, obsess over making as many mistakes as you possibly can so that you can learn fast, and obsess over your actions, your inputs. Don't stress out about the outcome. Don't stress out about things that you cannot really control. Everything in this life and in business as well, and especially with this business model, everything, like the answer is in you. Everything is action and reaction. If you have the right belief, the right mindset, if you truly have a desire to help, and then if you take the right action, that will lead to the right result that you're looking for. So don't start with like the results in mind. Don't try to like be too attached to an outcome that you have zero control over. Focus again on being patient and on being consistent. Consistency beats everything. I say this all the time. When I started in 2023 with the personal brand, for the first 3 months or 4 months, I was posting nonstop 2 reels a day with zero results. I had like 100 followers. Nobody knew who I was. And at one point I told myself I'm gonna quit, like I should probably stop this. I didn't. And then 7 days later, one video took off, everything started taking off, and the rest is history. So it's all about consistency. Now, we covered so much in this video. I don't know how long it is. I'm obviously talking a lot, but this is a good thing, especially when it comes to this. What are the next steps after watching this? If you're sitting there right now, if you've already started or you're planning on starting an online coaching business, you really want to help others, you really want to coach others, teach others to do the stuff that you've already been doing, you can, as a next step, you can go down below. You will have a link in there and you can book a call with me. There is a video in there on the website that explains my mechanism. It goes in depth into like the way I'm doing things, into some of our clients from the inner circle, from the community, from the program. And if it, like the methods and the mindset and everything resonates with you, then book a call and I'll see if I can help you. So we can essentially build your business from scratch or upgrade it and scale it so that you can essentially teach others to do the stuff that you've already been doing and build the life that you want to build. So book a call if this resonates, and I'll see you in the next video.